and welcome to 4,000 Counting. I'm Watty, and this is Mark. Today we are back with a long
Weekly roundup.
overdue weekly roundup. The weekly roundup that stops after week 7. Well, you know, there's a lot of other podcasts out there doing that kind of thing. We're smashing out interviews, we're bringing you all the big names, and yeah, it kind of got away from us a little bit there, but we're in the running. We have some cup finals being announced. Streatham win their league, Blackburn win the cup over D-side at the weekend. So a couple of trophies are starting to get put about. So congratulations to those lads. Also, congratulations to Edinburgh, who are the Northern League winners. So there's been a few trophies handed out since we've last got at it. We know that the finals are going to be between Milton Keynes and Hull in the National League, and in the Elite League, we got Guildford heading up to Sheffield to take them on in the Challenge Cup. I'm saying to you off air, Mark, I was at Guildford versus Sheffield game last night. First period is the best period of hockey I've seen since the Giants versus Flames Challenge Cup final. It was legit.
That's quite a statement as well, because there's been a lot of, Belfast of last year especially were solid, and you were saying not off air, but yesterday you were saying to me during the game just how fun it was, and
Yeah, it's
you were
good.
really impressed with how both sides played hockey. It wasn't just Sheffield, you were
Guildford was
also
good.
saying how the Flames were playing well and their fourth line was just very effective, but
Hey,
yeah,
mate, good old Turner comes out for his first shift. Gets our boy Saucerman dropping the gloves. I mean, Turner, I love you, buddy, but that's a fucking great trade-off. That's a great trade-off. Saucerman's been on fire this year. Great assist on the power play yesterday. Absolutely pin perfect pass across the seam through the box. His boy just steps into a one-timer. But there were good performances from everybody. Taz Burnham got the shout in net for Flames instead of McAdam, and he looked every bit a starter. He looked very, very solid. The one thing I will say about yesterday's game, the referees took a lot of shit online and even in our DMs. And from where I was watching, I saw 6 penalties in the first period, and that's what the ref called. And everyone was bitching. I think if you're going to trip someone up in front of the referee, you're probably going to get called for it.
yes.
They're not like these boys aren't stupid. And I don't know if it was just where I was sat or if it was just one guy. Oh, it's fucking annoying. You play for Steelers, Matthews. Bro, your chirps fucking suck. You suck. Shut up.
And this is what I said, I think, on one of our last episodes. Like, it's hard to see things like without rose tints when you support one of the sides, but you're going to that game as a neutral.
Yeah,
So you're just gonna you're gonna say it how it is. You've got friends on both teams.
100%.
It's
At one point yesterday, I think we had interviewed 7 of the 12 guys that were on the ice, or maybe even 8. Like there's a lot of boys on both teams that we chatted to. Again, like you said, a lot of friends. Um, yeah, I don't have a horse in the race. Like, if a penalty is a penalty, it's a fucking penalty. Like, doesn't matter who's playing. Like, if your guy trips somebody up 3 feet away from the referee and he calls it, doesn't mean he supports the Steelers. And also, like the dirty Sheffield chants. And I mean, I know the fans are having a bit of fun and shit. That first period was epic, mate. Um, saw our boy Guy there. We spoke at the end of the first period, and like we both just like that was playoff hockey. The intensity level they couldn't keep the intensity up. I felt the first 8 to 10 minutes of the second period were kind of boring. It didn't ignite the same way as the first period did. Then a couple of little body checks started happening, and all of a sudden that pace ramped right back up again. The end of the second period was solid. And then the third period was good. And it was like, who's going to score? Guildford had 2 really good opportunities in the last like minute to tie it. Goalmouth scrambles. You know, if that puck just bounces out a little bit, it's 3-3. We're going to bonus hockey. But
yeah.
the puck just broke lovely on the empty netter, and I believe it was Sauce. He just chucked it in from his own high slot. Puck landed perfectly on his stick, and he went for it. And you know, Steelers run out 4-2 winners. A fucking wagon they are, by the way.
They said it before the season, when they were announcing their guys, it was just you knew something was going to come together at some point for Sheffield, and thankfully they stayed with Fox because even though people in the past criticised him, I'm a key believer in you sort of have to let someone eventually find their way. I don't think he was ever bad from the beginning, but he was just finding his way, and he's finally found his way with the Steelers, and congratulations for the side he's put together this season.
Yeah.
And let's see how they can continue this because I've only seen highlights this season of the Steelers, but they play really good hockey.
That was the first time for me seeing them live this year. I saw them a couple of times last year. They're a completely different team. I think they're very, even though like last year, I think when I watched, they might have shut the Devils out at home, or they definitely put a pounding on the Devils in Cardiff, which was, that's not an easy thing to do for any team. But this year's team, they're big, they're fast, they're strong, they come in waves, and their skill guys work just as hard as the fucking guys that are there to grind. Really impressed with Greenfield in person. I think he's a super goalie, man. He's seriously legit. Made some point blank saves at the top of the crease where, pucks east west and bang, and he's on it, and he's legitimately on it very, very quickly. And then I thought Tansy and Sauceman had good games. Thought the British boys looked good. Cole, Whistle, Dowdy. Always nice to see the Brits. Sam Jones was eating minutes for fun. And then on the other side of it, some names that maybe haven't stood out when I've watched Guildford before. Some of them maybe lesser known D men. Thought they were epic. I thought they had really good games. I think the moment of the game for me though is third period. I think Steelers just go up by one. Puck goes down by the benches and Ben O'Connor steps up and hits Valorant and he fucking smoked him. Valley's raging, right? The play goes on, the puck goes into the corner. And Oki knows 1,000% that Valley's coming to forecheck and hit him back right there. And Oki reverse hit him, and Valley ended up flat on his ass again. And it was two big body contacts in one shift. I thought, after that, I was really surprised there was only one tilt all game. The way that first period went, I was like, this is good. The Challenge Cup. And here's an idea for you folks. Probably get shot down in flames for this. Maybe not by the fans, but by the owners. Sorry, boys, but it is what it is. Right. That game's sold out essentially now, yeah. Steelers have sold 7,900 tickets or whatever. The Flames will probably sell out the other 1,000. If not, Steelers fans definitely will. Put a game on YouTube for free. You don't have a fucking TV deal. Let's go. You can't physically make
all day
any
long.
more. You can't physically make any more money from ticket sales. Like it is going to be a sellout. It is going to be rammer-jammed in there. But what you can do is that game last night was a brilliant advert for the Elite League. If that is the game that you go to the war on for the first, remember it was on Viaplay, it was on Free Sports, it was on something. You had access to it without being behind a paywall, or maybe it was a paywall, but you paid via Sport £10 a month or whatever. But I'm saying it's not behind a club paywall. How many views do you think that would get? Because Guildford Sheffield, that game last night, every single fan of hockey would have left there, whether they supported the teams or not, going, yeah, that was class. I had a wicked night. It was a really good advert for the league. I think putting it on YouTube free, once it's a sellout, would be a fantastic thing. Like I don't, and this is what I said to Guy yesterday. So let's say 800 Guildford fans travel. They only have 1,900 fans. Do you really think the other 1,100 fans are gonna buy the stream? They're probably not. Might get 200. So what's that? 200 times 15? Still better than a kick in the dick. But it's not as much as how many eyes and how many fans you will get on that game if you don't put it behind a paywall.
There's an opportunity right there, and we need to maximize that opportunity. And I agree with what you say. Let's actually do something for once and not think of the money. I know that's people are going to shoot me down for saying that I couldn't really give a fuck,
It's the
but
exposure, though, isn't it?
let's exactly. And this is a really good advert, like you say, for British hockey. Guildford really want it. Sheffield really want it. And I don't mean any disrespect, but we had what 5 last year.
Yeah, it was a dumpster fire. It was like 9-5.
and it was dead and buried. Yeah, like, and I mean that with the greatest of respect for Fife. I like
Yeah, they had
them,
to get there,
but
right?
Guildford are gonna fucking turn up. Guildford are gonna turn up, and they're gonna want to upset the 7,500 Steeler fans and ruin their great season. It's one game. Just, yeah, I'm sorry I'm going on, but just put it online for free. Put it on YouTube. See the audience it can attract, and go from there.
We spoke about it. I can't remember who with. It'll come back to me at some point. Even if you just did one game a weekend for free, 2 games a month for free, whatever it is for a trial, just to see what sort of numbers you can pull on YouTube. I think it would surprise everybody, and it's not going to stop people coming to the games because the PWHL. I hate to keep bringing them up every week, but they keep smashing it out the park. And while they keep smashing it out the park, I will keep bringing them up. 19,235 people in the building last night. New women's hockey record. I mean, 19,500 is more than a lot of the
Wow.
NHL arenas can hold. Like, that is legit, serious, top titty numbers. And to go along with that, believe their YouTube was perking over 13, peaking over 13, 14, something like that. So on that one game, they had like 35,000 eyes on it.
I don't want to jump in there on the international sort of route. And again, unpopular opinion. GB international games put on YouTube, stop charging money from 15 quid. Was it 15 quid to see him play? Like
Individually,
individually,
individually £15, yeah.
and 40 quid for
All
the
6 games.
package.
But
Like,
people were breaking it down, Mark, and they break it down with the same argument as the Elite League break down having 4 games at the playoff finals weekend, even though we know one of them's the third and fourth. The players don't want to be there, the fans don't want to be there, the coaches don't want to be there, nobody wants to be there for that game. Well, nobody wants to watch Romania v fucking China. No one wants to watch China v Serbia. They're like freebie games that you chuck in the mix, like using them as
and
like a selling tool.
I want to say 15 quid in Serbia is a lot of money.
Yeah,
That's a serious amount of money, you know. I went to I like a football match out there must cost no more than sort of like between £5 and £10, like maximum.
top league.
Like so 15 to go and see the national team who are only just establishing themselves. If
Blame
you
it.
if you can say they're sort of like starting up, it's quite a new program. I know they've been around for 20 years or so, but like they're starting somewhere, but no one wants to pay 15 quid, especially converting that to Serbian money. That's extortionate. Like, we need to grow the game, and nationally is the best way you're going to sort of grow your game, especially as an Olympic qualifier.
Yeah,
It's like you've got this opportunity to get schools involved because it's the Olympics, it's the build up and it's all the excitement. When I was in school, we used to do Olympic stuff. And like, why aren't we using it to maximize the exposure of GB having a hockey team that happen to be in the top seed right now
yeah,
in the in the World Championship, sorry. And I'm sorry, I'm going on again, but I just
mate.
can't
I
get
was
over
at
the
the
fact
I
of
was at the
charging so
GB.
much money.
I was at the GB Serbia game. It was worth pound a ticket. People were leaving after the second period. It was a fucking bloodbath. Genuinely, I messaged you in the group after. I said it's the worst ice hockey team I've ever seen. Do you know what? Fair play to their goalie because he had faced a lot of rubber, right? Our boys just look like they could score at any point. I genuinely think if you put a National League All-Star team together, they would have fucking spanked those Serbians. They would have gave the Chinese a pretty good game as well. And I think Romania would have beat maybe a National League All-Star team. But those other two, it does beg the question again, like Kieran Brown would have been that would have been a carbon. That's not the right way of saying that. That would have been a fantastic opportunity to put Kieran Brown in against China,
Yeah.
against Serbia, give him some reps. He would have fucking ripped them a new one.
Yeah. The problem we've got, and I completely agree with you, and he probably would have loved the opportunity. It clashes because they're also domestic games on, if I'm right.
Yeah,
So
but
he's so crucial to Leeds at this stage of the season
the
that it's
country
kind of,
trumps it though, doesn't it?
oh, I completely get it, but more to the point of like there shouldn't have been maybe national, like you shouldn't have, I don't know.
So
You sort of the national team game should halt and something else should happen on that day. Like whether you support the national team, give people the chance like Kieran Brown to step up
yeah.
and others potentially in the future, and maybe do something else on these weekends for hockey that isn't involving clubs. So it allows people to go and follow the national team and yeah,
So
just
I'm
get
speaking to
behind. Maybe I'm talking shit here. I don't know.
uh well, see what you think after I say this. So speaking to one of the Elite League GMs and the reasoning behind it going ahead. So there was something going on not knowing about Russia and Belarus, whether they were going to be out and whether GB were going to have to be in this round of qualification whatsoever, but they still didn't know. So it turns out GB did have to be in this group, and they were kind of like, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to have to cancel a weekend's games? And they worked it out. It was going to be £500,000 across the league of revenue they would lose. So they also then got told it was going to be host it or was sending your boys to China. Now, everyone knows if they were sending the boys to China, they would have been without the GB players for at least a fortnight. But time to get over there, get acclimatized with the
Yeah.
time, long travel. You were looking at missing them for maybe not necessarily 2 full weeks, but the way the games felt, it would have fell over like across 2 weekends worth of fixtures. Now, that was obviously never going to happen. I do personally think there should have been an international break. You can't think this year they lucked out because Sheffield Steelers are so far ahead. It's made their decision probably a little bit easier. I think if you had 3 teams and they were split by 2 points, how are you going to take 6 players off the Cardiff Devils for GB? Obviously, for like Fife and Dundee, the teams that don't have anybody in it, it doesn't make a fucking difference. You can just crack
Yeah.
on and play. I think Lacko from the Clan, he was their only one. You start looking across the league, though, there's a few boys represented from the Steelers, but Cardiff would have been the one that got hit the most with pretty much a line plus a goalie going to the games. So
I don't think that's right. I take back actually after what you've said. I take back what I say, but
it's hard.
that,
It is hard,
still,
but
I think that there should definitely not be elite league level hockey on an international
I agree.
game. Sorry, my nose is really itchy.
I also wonder then, should the IIHF look to be compensating some of these teams for taking time off if they're going to take time off to play in their competitions? I don't know what sort of money the IIHF bring in. I don't know what they give out, but it should be something. If leagues across Europe are having to come to a halt so that the players can participate in your events, then they need to be able to do that and do it correctly, which means not being financially liable whilst the national team games go ahead. Obviously, everybody probably got a little cut of the pie from the ticket sales in Cardiff, from the streams, etc. But the games weren't rammed. Maybe it was the level of competition. Maybe it was the venue. Maybe it was the fact that the first game was on the Thursday night. There's lots of like different reasons why. Well, I told you I was supposed to go Sunday. I was there. I was there for the Saturday. I woke up and I was like, I can't do it to myself. I can't go and watch Serbia versus China. I'm not. I
But
didn't. I
guess who
didn't.
would probably love that opportunity, and that is to do a school program over that area, that region, whatever. Distribute X amount of tickets. There's going to be a certain percentage of hardcore GB fans. Fair play to you.
They
You're
will.
going to get the odd fan that are going to travel as well to come and see GB, but there is going to be a mass chunk. Again, going back to growing the game, I got into hockey through the Pirates visiting my school, giving out free tickets, giving a bit of a demo. We building up to stuff like this. I know they didn't have the time, like you said, but going forwards, spread the games around the UK and attract schools a certain percentage. Get a
Where,
GB international Robert Dowd there or someone like that would be phenomenal. And just
where
gain
would you put
exposure again,
GB
I keep
games?
saying.
Obviously, they did it at the Motor Point last time. It was in the World Champs in the UK. It's been in Belfast back in 2017 when GB got promoted. So it's been at a couple of different venues. I mean, I like Cardiff because it's close. It's the closest ring to me. So, I mean, obviously that works out great. But Nottingham probably makes the most sense.
I understand that, but I also think that we need to travel around as well.
It would
You
make
know,
sense.
imagine Nottingham and you played Serbia. That place is going to be empty if you're not giving out tickets to
By the
like
thousands, by the
schools
way.
and stuff. Like that's just going to be a horrible experience. So that's why I really like the idea of being in Cardiff, change of venue, smaller venue, and I like the fact that it gives the people in Wales the chance to also see Team GB on their
And
doorstep.
and a good few Devils fans turned out, and you know the GB Barmy Army are there as they always are. Nice to see a few of them around Cardiff and chat to a few of them. Um, it's just yeah, I can't get over how bad that Serbia team were. I really can't. And interestingly enough, I think we spoke about it. I said maybe that's like how Canada and that feel when they play against us, when their fans are watching it. They're like, what the fuck is going on? But to be fair, we haven't had that many spankings at the top level. We've had a couple, but that game was we could have played without goalie and we would have still won. And that's me not taking the piss. I'm being
This is way too big a gap. Like I said previous, like they are sort of like the last 20 years, only sort of recently, sort of in the Balkan area, there's a few like Bosnia and Herzegovina are the same. Uh, they're going to be miles off the gap of us, but one nation which I like, I'm sort of following a lot over the last couple of years is Romania.
I think Oki
I
played a big part
think
in that, right?
seriously, I really think I'm not to say they're going to reach GB heights, but they're doing a lot in hockey, and their league is getting stronger. Like Oki went there, had a great time.
It
Uh,
was, yeah.
and I just, it's not like you see the progression. Serbia are miles behind us, but eventually they're going to progress. But we're like 100 years on them of playing hockey, and
I'm hoping that
I,
we continue to push away from nations like Serbia, push away from nations like Romania, Spain. We shouldn't be any, we shouldn't even be in the fucking conversation. And I'm not just talking now. I'm talking decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. If we want to cement ourselves as a a top pool slash 1A kind of nation going forward forever, then we need to start investing. We need to start investing in the future. We need to start getting more ice time for players. We need to start getting better coaching for players. We need to start getting more games for juniors, more competitive games from juniors all the way through. Put some numbers out. We just ran through the EIHL, England Ice Hockey website the other day. Looked at the results. It's on our Facebook. Go check it out. There's a lot of uncompetitive games, like a lot of mercy stoppings, a lot of games getting stopped by the mercy rule. Some of it's down to geography, some of it's down to just sheer imbalance in the clubs. But no one's learning anything from little Johnny scoring 7 goals against a team that can't skate. Like, in fact, it's probably not doing him any favors whatsoever. What we do need is more of the games that went to draws, more of the games that were 1 goal games, more of the goals that were games that were 2 goal games. Tight games. Both teams got a chance to win. Makes a huge difference.
I agree completely with what you're saying, but I also want to flip the coin there
Go on.
and also say that yes, our boys wouldn't have took a lot from playing Serbia, but on the flip side, for Serbia, it's
Yeah.
not very often they're going to face a level like GB with when you've got guys like Liam Kirk and Robert Dowd,
Kirk
amongst
is
many
so sick,
others.
by the way.
Like that, their boys are going to learn a lot from that. I from our side, yeah, it's not beneficial, but from their side, I get it. So that's going to help them going forwards. But
Great point. I didn't really think about.
we
I didn't really think
we
about
yeah,
that a minute.
I just wanted to chuck that out there, but I
No, that's fair,
completely
mate.
get what
Yeah,
you were
totally.
saying.
That's totally fair point. I didn't really think of it from the Serbia point of view. Although if I was them, I went back to the hotel and just raided the fucking minibar.
Like, yeah,
I'd have been on Suey Watch, mate. It was it had like if there was a mercy rule at international, it had that vibe. It was bad. Like it was so bad for them. I was talking to Joe Nielsen and Ron Shudra and Mummy Shudra. I was chatting, and they're like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'm fucking going. I can't watch anymore." They're like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Just scored 9 goals in a period." Like I said it. The best analogy that I was talking to someone from work. So like, remember at school when you used to like play football on the playground, and like the popular kid would pick all the popular kids, and like there'd be the fat kid that's captain, and he picks all the dummies that can't run and they can't play and they can't do anything. And it was basically like the school first 11 against like the science geeks. That was what it was like. It was one-way traffic, just big boys taking the ball off of them and just doing whatever they liked when they liked. It genuinely could have been 20. They were GB were like Serbia held them to like 1-0 at the end of the first. I didn't know what was going on. And then I think they scored 9 goals in the second period or something. Kirky was legit. He's improved so much playing in Czech. Obviously, he's been talented before, not like he needed to improve, but he just seems sharper. He seems more confident. He seems to be enjoying himself. And yeah, that can only be good for GB leading into the World Champs because an on-form Kirky with some good pieces around him is going to make a big difference.
did you find, oh, maybe not given the level of competition, but one thing that stood out for me in Kirky's game was his calmness.
Oh yeah, like he's even though he's
It's
wheeling,
just smooth.
dealing, he's playing on lie down mode, mate. He's just so super chilled out when he's got the park. He never looks like he's going to make a mistake. He seems to have eliminated a lot of the mistakes he had as say as a kid when before he went away to play in Finland, to play in Sweden, to play in Czech, to get all these different experiences, to play in the A. Like, I think when he came back from Peterborough, like he'd eliminated a lot of mistakes, and now they're fucking non-existent.
Just getting better and better.
Which is good, and it shows you some of you young kids out there. Maybe Europe's the way to go. You don't necessarily have to go down the North American route. There's some great hockey out in Slovakia. There's some great hockey out in Germany. There's great hockey out in Finland. You know, any nation we talk about, Czech, Sweden, wherever you like. There's great hockey and there's great junior hockey. And if you could, we've had a few people reach out about the Bruno camp. Um, Anyone else wants the details? They're on my phone. They're on Mark's phone. Drop us a message. We will send you the details of the hockey camp. These are the types of situations that are going to improve your kids' um, skills. I did have a conversation with someone. I'm not going to say who. You probably better figure it out from this, Mark. But they talked about potentially not putting their kid, registering their kid in England at all next year for a club specifically. Still register, but not for a club specifically. And then just send him to hockey camps once, twice a month across Europe. All the money saves on training, 3, 4 days intensive camps, tournaments, all these things. And go to Slovakia, go to Bratislava for 4 days, go to Brno, do a camp in Brno for 4 days, go to Gothenburg, play in a tournament, go to Latvia and guest for a team and play in Riga. Just all these different things. I was like, yeah, fucking 1,000%, yeah. What a great experience, first of all, that would be. And how much are you going to learn off of so many different hockey nations? Go guest for Berlin and play in a U16 tournament. But these things that can be arranged when you have the contacts within the hockey world, and you also have the skills on the ice to be able to go and comfortably compete with these nations, with teams, and get into teams and get loaned for games and stuff. What it could be a new window, man. And if I was EIHL, I'd be shitting myself.
Well, maybe that's what we actually need to encourage then in order for them to wake up and actually start doing something about it our side. I mean, like, I think we say this every week, every month, every year, but we need something to go back into programs to help our development. And it's evidently still not really been happening. I'm going to say there are a few people out there that do their best, and
Oh,
I
yeah,
respect them and what they're doing. It's not to shoot everyone down, because there are good people in hockey doing
thousands.
good things with limited resources, and that's the problem. Limited resources. Let's start to make, I always say this, make ice more accessible. Go
I'm
to
from
Brno.
the UK,
My
yeah,
friend works at a school. They have an ice rink.
tennis,
He
mate.
skates, and even he skates every day there. We normally phone call in the evening, and he's shooting pucks. And if it's not there, there's like another 4 or 5 places. I know we don't have that luxury in the UK, but there's like another 4 or 5 places you can go and play hockey in the city,
Yeah, it's wild.
like on any given day.
And capital of Finland, help me out.
Helsinki
Like 20 rinks in Helsinki, I think.
is something
Oh,
mad. Yeah,
even Vienna. When we go to Vienna, obviously you've got the
yeah.
rink cap
There's
play out. You've got what, 2 rinks in town that you can go skate and play?
there's more than that.
More. Well, there you go. Shows what I know.
Yeah,
Okay,
and there's the outdoor rinks as well.
so you're looking at least 3, 4, 5 facilities, yeah, which is amazing. There's there's things in major cities in these countries that are bringing people to the game. We don't even have really technically a top level team in London, which must hinder us with the amount of millions and millions of people that live there, having to make their way out to Lee Valley, Streatham, Romford, Chelmsford, Haringey. I mean, there's nothing in certain markets there. I think an elite league team, if done correctly in London, would be massive. Could you
And
imagine?
Birmingham, I want to stress that as
Yeah,
well. London and Birmingham. People always
Ex-
go on about London. London is very expensive. Birmingham is also quite expensive in areas, but it would be more affordable to run a club in that respect in comparison to London. But let's get both of them. Let's get some more. Adds another team in that pool. You could have Telford Birmingham connection, Elite League National. You could have Coventry, someone else, like a London team, another connection. What we need to really develop, and I always say this, I've been saying that this whole episode, always going back on myself. What we need are feeder teams, and every team to have a feeder team and a proper filtration system. That
oh,
was a big word for me.
yeah, Jesus Christ. You're feeling right there. Well, let's go to it then. So, something that did come out this week, nice little segue. Haven't used that word in a long time, I don't think. So, the Cardiff Canucks. It was shared by Trevor Hendricks. New logo, Hendricks Hockey, and all these sort of things. The Cardiff Canucks look like they are set to join the NIHL 1 South next season, alongside Haringey, who we believe will still step up, make that a 10-team league. I think that's a brilliant bit of news. I like the fact that there seems to be talk of like a pathway. I mean, obviously, NIHL 1 to National League is big enough jump. NIHL 1 to Elite League is non-existent jump. It's just never going to happen. But what you can do is start creating pathways from the Fire to the Canucks, and from the Canucks to Bristol, and from Bristol to the Devils, and Swindon are in on that mix down there on the southwest coast. There's there's opportunities, and I'm going to wait and see what comes of this Cardiff Canucks situation before I go into too much detail. But if Trevor's going to be involved, we know he's big on coaching, big on development, skills, all these type of things.
Yeah.
I'm just presuming he's coaching. He might be owner. He might just be sharing it. I don't know. It would be bizarre for him to share that and not be involved. I think he's obviously a great man for the job if he's to get it. Hell of an
Agreed.
hell of an experienced hockey player, doing fantastic things with his coaching. I'm intrigued to see if that comes off. Do you reckon? Do you reckon he'll coach it or run it, or how do you think it will work? Because obviously we don't. All we got is a Facebook post with Cardiff Canucks. There wasn't really too much more to it.
He's got to be behind it. Maybe he's got a team behind him, but I would imagine he's going to be there in some high rank capacity, and rightly so. I really like his coaching videos that he puts out online. They're really good. He was a player everyone hated in the right way, I want to
Yep.
say. And yeah, if he wants to come here and improve the hockey, then I take my hat off. But
Yeah, all we
No,
have
I
is
welcome it.
all we have is it's very vague. Coming soon, Cardiff Canucks, NIHL 1, Hendricks Hockey, Cardiff Junior Devils. If it is the case,
Welcome.
let's go. Sign them up.
Yeah.
I'd be intrigued to see how they get players and stuff going across there. Obviously, a lot of the National One teams, the guys are traveling to these locations to play for the team. Streatham being like the prime example. I think they have like one guy that lives in Streatham. Everybody else is traveling in. Maybe you're going to have to do a bit of that at Cardiff. Maybe they bring a few of the fire boys that they think are good enough up and bring a few juniors then into the fire. Be interesting to see if there's any connections or if the old dick swinging starts. And we've seen that in Cardiff over the years when they've had different teams and certain guys don't like it going one way, certain guys don't like it going the other. Hopefully, there's none of that bullshit, and there is a brilliant pathway then from Cardiff Junior Development into Cardiff Fire into the Cardiff Canucks, and then hopefully onto a National League or an Elite League team in the future.
And like I just said, that's exactly what we need. I welcome that with open arms and hope that if they sort their shit out in Basingstoke, which is not going to happen, then that would be even more fun. Let's just keep getting these teams in. Let's keep like an NIHL one team. That
Yeah.
league's already getting stronger. Again, I want to say congratulations to Streatham because I have a soft spot for them for many years. And I
Four
wear
in a
my own
row.
alone jersey as well.
4 in a row is what they call a dynasty, right? So shout out to the Stretton boys, shout out to Ryan and Paints and the Ely Newmans, Ziggy yesterday, massive hat trick in the game to clinch the league. I think what's even more impressive is the fact that they went into Slough with 7 forwards, 4D, and a goalie, and shut out the highest scoring offense in the league in their own barn. So short to give them an opportunity to wrap it up yesterday. That's a huge result for them. It sets this weekend's final up, the NIHL One South Cup final between Streatham and the Jets. I'm going to go check out the game on Saturday. So I will be reporting back next week on how we thought it went and all the usual good stuff. But that Slough Jets team, they're good. There's no guarantees for Streatham this year. Like I think Streatham probably aren't as good as they were last year. You take a couple of boys out the equation, but I believe Brittle's back now. There's a few guys making their comebacks sort of now from injuries and bits and pieces. Ely Newman's still banned. I think he'll be back soon. I'm intrigued because it looks like it's also going to be Billingham in the north winning that league. So Billingham versus Streatham at Coventry on the Sunday. That'll be a good game. Billingham obviously were the team that ran the Sharks the closest last year. Penalty shootout victory, I believe, for the Sharks in one of their cup finals against them. So it's going to be a new look at after a couple of years of Sharks versus Red Hawks. It's going to be a couple of different boys going at it, and it's going to bring a different aspect to that playoff finals weekend in Coventry. Oh, did you see that they've now announced the NIHL 1 and 2 is going to be at Haringey after all? Piss up brewery, like would be the two words that I would say about that.
Yeah.
Honestly, mate, it's such a bad decision. I still think it's crazy that they're combining those two. Let's talk about the Elite League quickly before we go down to the National. So Sheffield Steelers have opened up a 14-point gap at this stage of the season. They have officially clinched their playoff position as of last night's game. They sit on 69 points in 38
Woo!
games. The Devils, they are 14 points back with a game in hand. I mean, they've got to face them a couple of times. There's other bits and pieces, but they've just opened up far too much of a lead. They work too hard and they're too fucking good. Like it's just that simple. What might be the shocking one is the fact that Belfast are so far away. Cardiff being 55 points, 14 back. The Giants are 9 points back on Cardiff. And then that's
That's
in
mad.
so short space of time that the Devils have pretty much gone on an 11-game heater in the last 3.5, 4 weeks. I think they've just been unbelievable, picking up results all over the place,
Yeah.
grinding 3-2 wins out against five, going on the road and winning on Dundee, and just all the things that you do when you break those games down at the start of the season. You say these are the games we have to win. Fine saying it and breaking it down and going, right, this next five we need this next five we need that. Against this team we need this many wins. But to actually go and do it is impressive. Cardiff are heating up at the perfect time. Belfast look a little lost. They did get a 4-point weekend. Tedesco's, since we spoke to Fergie and spoke about Tedesco, we predicted he'd go on a bit of a heater. I think he's had like 6 goals since we interviewed Fergie 2 weeks ago. So hat trick again on Sunday for Tedesco. Teddy's he's on form now, and he's going to be crucial for the Giants in the running.
Yep. And that's why I'm keeping quiet regarding that, because like we've said about other players, Tedesco had one hell of a year last year. And
Yes.
I know this year Belfast have struggled and a lot of people have shot down Tedesco. You don't become a bad player overnight.
Nope. That's
So
why I asked Fergie about
he's
it.
coming hot now.
Yeah, I was like, the thing is,
Wow, that is a good time.
when he snipes, he snipes. And I think he'd scored 2 goals. I was watching the Giants highlights versus Devils, and he'd scored a couple of goals that weekend. And the commentator was like, "Oh, that's a bit of like a monkey off his back." I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go. He's just going to start ripping it up." I want to see if I can find his stats because as you say, Mark, he doesn't become a bad player overnight. He's not going to forget where the goal is. Sometimes you're digging crossbars and you're doing a few other bits, and it's just not coming off. And then all of a sudden, it's going to click. Oh, by the way, one of the Flames players I want to shout out from last night, just because I saw his name here, Peter Cronella. Shit, he was good last night. He's obviously got 20 tucks on this season. He's in the top 5 or 6 for goal scorers. He was legit yesterday. So good. Best game I've seen him play. I'm just trying to find Tedesco now. I've probably scrolled past him already.
Did he play for Dundee, Crinella?
Ooh,
Or am I thinking of someone else?
I don't know. Someone with better hockey knowledge. I don't know that. Dundee, I've got a couple of boys up there. Yeah, so Tedesco's now moved on to 11 goals, 19 assists, 30 points, and 36. Just starting to heat up at the right time. Obviously, it's a bit late for the league, but they definitely have every opportunity in the playoffs. I mean, I don't personally think they're going to get it done. I think the Sheffield Steelers are a better hockey team than them, and I think it's going to be hard for anybody to beat Sheffield in any of these competitions. I just think they're so well drilled, so well balanced. They have really good depth.
Yeah. By the
They're,
way, Crinella didn't play for Dundee.
he
I
didn't.
just it reminds me of something else.
So what are we saying down the bottom? Because obviously the Panthers, they went on that brutal run after Adam, and quite rightly fucking so. We said on here when they get that first win, they'll get a couple. Well, since they've had that first win, I believe it's like 4-6 now. They have 5 games
Yeah.
on hand on the Flyers. They're 4 points back on them. They have 2 points. Sorry, 2 games in hand on the Glasgow Clan, who are sitting in 8th spot. They're holding the last playoff spot right now. They have 35 points in 38 games. I looked at Nottingham running. It's pretty tough. But there's probably 7 or 8 games that they feel that they could probably win. Will
Well,
the Nottingham Panthers claw back and make their way to the playoffs?
if they do, amazing. If they don't, amazing. And you know why? Because right now, I think, regardless of what you can say, regardless of what team you support, the Nottingham Panther boys have turned up each and every single night, regardless of result. That takes a lot of strength and courage to go out there and play hockey and continue doing something that you love after something so tragic. So, regardless of their position, I want to say I respect their organisation and fair fucks to all the lads that have put
Oh,
on a jersey for Panthers this season.
yeah, that's a grind every week turning up to rink when something like that tragedy has happened. Spoke to Jordan Kelsel's old man, and he goes, "What, you would love these fucking boys?" He was like, "They're just great boys," and I was like, "They must be to keep like turning up every week, especially when you're going through that losing run afterwards." And it just didn't matter what was happening; it was going wrong, and now they seem to have turned that little corner. 4 victories in 6, I believe. 3 in a row at home or 2 in a row at home. It's got fairy tale shit written all over it.
That would be amazing.
It's literally Logan Nielsen, 3 goals in 4 games after getting his first like 2 weeks ago. He scored another two on the back of that. You know, when you're hot, you're hot. I believe that's what Cade said, and quite rightly, yeah. Shout out Logan, young guy, getting in on the mix, couple of goals. We'd like to see that.
Fair play.
I think we shouted him out last time actually for his first goal, where he's since added a couple more, and that's good. Like for these young Brits to be getting opportunities, to be getting minutes, and to being rewarded with goals in victories. There's nothing better. It kind of
Absolutely.
takes the sting out of it when you score and you lose. But when you score and you win, you're like, "Fuck yeah, let's go! Those beers are gonna taste good tonight." Like, and they will. Speaking of beers tasting good, the Milton Keynes boys are out drinking today, and they just keep putting their table numbers everywhere. So
Yeah.
shout
Table
out,
number 212 in
yeah, shout out those
Weatherspoons.
savages. God knows what sort of bloody state they're going to be in. But we talked to Rory about, the old Monday Fun Day. Absolutely, man. Like, so long season, you got to have a bit of bonding with the boys. They've been on a long road trip up to Scotland at the weekend. Couple of games up there. They're back. Couple of pops for the boys. It's fun. And they'll be ready to come Saturday. They'll be more than ready. They'll have a good
Bit of
sweat.
old school team spirit.
Absolutely. And you'll see it more and more in sport. People just act like it doesn't happen now. Oh, they're so professional. What do you think they're out drinking protein shakes? Wind it in. Like, it's, hockey players are hockey players, no matter what generation. I'm sure they might be a little bit less, but they're still going to have some fun. Let's have a little roundup. So, Panthers they beat Dundee on Wednesday night. It was a full host of games on Valentine's Day. Coventry Blaze turned Glasgow over in overtime 4-3. Cardiff Devils beat 5-3-2. Sheffield Steelers they shut out the Flames 3-0 up there. Manchester beat Belfast 5-2. Huge result. And then it went on to the Friday night game. Glasgow got a bit of revenge. They took a 4-2 victory over the Blaze. Steelers, they beat Nottingham 6-4. Tight game by all accounts. And there was a big controversial moment on the Steelers' fourth goal where a trip in the middle on a Panthers player. I thought it was a trip, actually. And the game probably should have got whistled down. That goal doesn't go in. And who knows what happens when it's a 1-goal game as opposed to a 2. Manchester Storm, another victory. They beat the Dundee Stars in overtime.
Great result.
A poor loss for Guildford. They'd be disappointed to lose at Coventry 3-2. Just didn't seem to get anything going. And then we talk about the Devils grinding shit out. A 5-4 greasy shootout winning 5. Hey, 2 points is 2 points, and that's
Yeah.
what they're looking for. You go into the Sunday, Fife again, pick up another point in an overtime defeat. They're just not quite there, Fife, at the moment. They're close, and they seem to not be getting blown out. They're in every game. They're keeping it tight. Then they're nicking away though, points here and overtime, points there. Oh, what about that statistic we spoke about off air, Mark? The one the Elite League page shared it this year. 28 points Coventry have from overtime and shootouts.
Yeah, that's madness.
What is going on? The
Madness.
next closest team is like 18. It's wild. I've never heard of any team picking up that many points in overtime in a shootout. So shout out you savages, because that's for clutch time. That's clutch time, and to be that consistent and that hot going into OT. I mean, I'm sure your fans probably prefer you to mix in a few fucking regulation wins, but you can't argue with the points. It's ridiculous.
Let me
Sorry.
hold you there quickly before we move on. I don't want to shoot anyone down here for fixture times, but Fife played Saturday night at 7:15 and it went to a shootout. Then we played in Nottingham on Sunday at 4 o'clock and that went into overtime. That's some tired legs.
Yeah, because obviously Fife were also a 7:30 face off on the Wednesday night down in Cardiff. It's
Oh wow.
bit of a grind. It's a bit of a grind. 4 days there, 4 or 5 days. A lot of travel, a lot of games, and a lot of close games as well. So like, it's not like even like you're getting blown out, so you can just take it easy, or you're blowing a team out, so you can maybe take the foot off the gas a little bit. These are like right the way down to overtime games. They're tough slogs of games, and yeah, to look at it, Flyers still pick up 3 points out of the potential 6, even though they took 3 defeats. They'd probably be fairly happy with that. at this stage of the season. Every point's crucial. And then yeah, just to round out the games, and a 6-3 victory for the Devils up in Dundee. Really good result for them there. And a fantastic road result, 4-2 for Sheffield Steelers over Guildford. The weekly attendance mark, 51,050 across all the games. That's solid.
Yeah, that's decent.
I'm
Is
not
that one of
sure.
the highest of the year?
It's got to
I
be.
honestly couldn't tell you, but
It's
that's
got to be. I think
impressive.
they put 42, 43 out last week, and
Yeah.
this is big number on top of that. So yeah, congratulations to the Elite League and the clubs. Keep bringing fans in through the door. That's what we want. We want to see more new faces in the building. Perhaps their kids start playing, whatever. Like we just got to keep bringing new people to the sport. Go back to what we talked about YouTube earlier, and you will see that new faces are good as long as you don't have to sit next to them.
You get your own block.
Yeah, I need my own block for when I come to games now. I totally get why my dad, when I was like going to games with my dad, and he'd be sitting up in the fucking far corner, like away from every single human being in the ice rink. I was like, yep, that makes sense. Right, let's go to the National League. Arguably the biggest result of the weekend. I don't know, there's a few, but I think Solway beating MK 8-7. Highlights, by the way, unbelievable. They got the highlight package out 2 hours after that game, and considering there were 15 goals, that's a shit ton of editing. Well done to Sharks TV.
Yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
some going. You know, boys, can you just fucking slow it down? I got to edit this video here. This is every shot was and then I think they had to put some saves in the highlights just to prove that there was some saves because it was an absolute goal fest and you can't. It was one of them. You're not really blaming the goalie on many of them on either team. It's just a couple of legit teams going at it. And Solway, great to see them get a result against Milton Keynes. League's still interesting though because sorry, I just try to find it here. Let's grab it. So the league Leeds Knights sit on 69 points, 40 games played. The
Same as Sheffield in the elite.
well done. It is actually a good point. I didn't even notice that. Oh, the craziest thing I did notice on this, and also shout out Bristol Pitbulls 4-point weekend before I just give it to you for this stat. Leeds Knights are plus 104 goals. Bristol Pitbulls are minus 103. There's over like a 200 goal swing there.
Oh wow.
That's fucking mental. That's actually mental. They've conceded 238 goals. Well, not this weekend they didn't because turns out Ben Norton was lights out as they took a 3-2 victory over the Bees. They also took I think it was 3-2 again. Yeah, 3-2 victory over the Telford Tigers. Huge weekend for Bristol. I mean, it's far too late, the amount of points back they are, but it's good to see them picking up victories. It's nice for the boys that they're getting some wins and it makes the running a little bit easier if you pick up some victories along the way.
Yeah,
Mm,
I want to chuck out another stat out there, sorry, because
yeah.
I wanted to say about the Steelers only have conceded goals against 68 and Leeds Knights is 89. I want to say the difference, the goal difference, I think Leeds are 104
Yes.
and Sheffield are 100
Yeah, it's
and both are on 69 points. So I know they're completely different leagues, but I'm a bit of a stat geek.
it is quite interesting that. Weird weekend for the Steel Dogs. They lose 5-7 on Tuesday night. They then play the Friday night down in Swindon and pick up a 2-0 victory. Shout out Dan Crow on a shutout for, I believe,
Wow.
first shutout of the year. Not many teams have shut Swindon out. But then they have no game the Saturday. They go into the Sunday at home, and the Raiders put a 9 spot on them. 9-1 to the Raiders. Great result for those guys. Shout out to the Raiders there. 4-point weekend for them. Also, after
Great weekend.
picking up a 4-2 victory against Tigers. The Knights, they put a bit of a beat down on the Phantoms twice this weekend. 7-2 in Leeds and then 7-0 in Peterborough. That's got to be a disappointing weekend for Slava. He's not going to be very happy with his boys letting 14 goals in. We know he likes defensive hockey. We know he likes a tight ship. So to ship 14 goals over the weekend, he's not going to be best pleased. What else have we got?
No.
The Wildcats, they bounced back from their Friday night defeat with a Saturday victory 2-1 over The whole Seahawks kind of up and down a little bit at the moment. They win up in Sheffield on the Tuesday. They lose on the Saturday. They really need to click at the right time because I do believe there is like a trophy winning team somewhere in Hull there.
That's a very dangerous playoff side.
Yeah,
Very dangerous.
you don't want them on a Saturday in Coventry, do you?
No, not at all.
No, you don't. You don't want to play against them. They've got a few guys that can really turn it on. They've got some big performers. And who else are we missing? Bees, 4 point weekend. No, 3 point weekend for them. Sorry, they obviously lose 3-2 in OT in Bristol, but then they beat the whole Seahawks 5-4. Look, it's interesting down the bottom here. Obviously, we're talking about the top, but if you look from the Bees down, you have the Bees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bees in 6th, Raiders in 7th, Sharks in. I've done that wrong. Bees in 7th, Raiders in 8th, Sharks in 9th. They are all tied on 37 points. That is going to be an exciting run in. 3 teams going for the
Raiders a
playoffs.
game in hand.
1 game in hand for the Raiders Hockey Club. And
Interesting.
yeah, we'd have to do a breakdown. Maybe we do an individual breakdown with the run-ins and we see who we predict.
Right,
Maybe
I'm gonna have a fucking breakdown in a minute.
another video where we break it down. Maybe we do a little bit of predictions. Obviously, I think the predictions at the bottom are probably going to be more interesting at the top, and who we see. I think it's safe to write the Steel Dogs off at this point, isn't it? 29 points, 8 points back with limited games left. I think they'd have to win out and really hope on teams above them choking. So I can't see the Dogs. Bristol, obviously, probably even mathematically out of it at this point. And then Tigers is secure, Phantoms is secure. Swindon look like they're going to be third no matter what. MK, they'll still believe that they can catch leads, but if they're going to do it, it's going to have to be soon. They're going to need Leeds to drop points on more. We've seen when Leeds lose a game, they come back and murder a team.
Yeah.
What did
Bounce back ability, big time.
they lost to Swindon last weekend, and then they just put 2 shit kickings on the Phantoms this weekend. And the Phantoms, they're not a bad hockey team. Not by
No
any stretch.
pushovers.
Yeah, they're no pushovers. Scored 14 goals. But is there anything else, Mark? I think I don't want to leave anybody out.
I want to check in there. So you said it was 7th, 8th, and 9th, all on 37. Raiders a game in hand. I know I like Telford. In fact, I like all. I'm a neutral here, but Telford 41 points. It's a matter of them having a bad weekend, and Bees, Raiders, or Solway having a great weekend, and that
Well,
really changes things.
like this
Really
weekend.
changes things.
This weekend, Sharks pick up 3 points, Bees pick up 4 points, and Raiders pick up 4 points. The Tigers pick up 0 points. If that then happens, or maybe 1. No, it was a regulation win for the Pitbulls. Tigers pick up 0 points. So again, if that happens next weekend, and some of those lower teams, without really knowing the fixtures, I get that this might not be able to happen. But if the fixtures were to work out in a way that those 3 teams could also pick up 4 points and the Tigers pick up nothing, we could be going into next weekend, the weekend after, with 4 teams on 41 points for the playoff spots. That would be fucking legit. Not if you're a fan of any of those teams. I don't imagine. I don't imagine it'd be great to be a fan right then. But to be a neutral like us, sign us up. Like, let's have 4 clubs hammering it out for the last 2 playoff spaces. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I think we're done, folks. Been fun. It's been fun to do a roundup. It's been fun to talk about UK hockey a little bit, talk about the GB thing, and the Streatham win. Shout out Blackburn on their win as well, Edinburgh on their win.
Well done.
Congratulations to everybody that's picked up some silverware thus far. We will be back for another episode very, very soon. More interviews coming your way. If you haven't already, check out Fergie. He was on recently. Daniel Amesbury, Mr. Diamond Hands. He told some great stories. So there's some recent interviews for you to get your teeth into, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Peace.
Peace.